clear that nurses and other health workers, and more so the health of Kenyans, nobody cares about it. And therefore, we are calling upon the leadership of this country to ensure that the rights of Kenyans that are enshrined in the Constitution are taken care of, because we are not doing justice to the Kenyans. We are not doing justice to the health workers, because the government agreed. If you see the agreement, the matrix that we agreed, the intergovernmental agency meetings, they agreed that indeed the issues that had been raised by the nurses were very genuine. It is agreeable that the issues that are being raised are very, very, very genuine. And therefore, when we come up with an agreement and say that indeed we have dropped this, we have taken this, in the spirit of give and take, we came up with an agreement which up to today, the government has given a blind eye. And therefore, we urge our members to stay put, because we did not go outside for the sake of it. We went outside because of legitimate issues, very genuine issues, and we cannot say that these issues have been resolved until we sign an agreement of commitment that indeed these issues are going to be addressed. Kwa hivyo ni kwamba sisi kama wauguzi atubaduki, kwa sababu kama tulishazungumza tayari na tukakubaliana huu mkataba ndio tutatia sahihi, basi ilifika wapi serikali ikapotea? Sisi tunaomba viongozi wa hii nchi ambao wametwikwa jukumu ya kuwahudumia wananchi wa Kenya. Katiba ya Kenya inawapa wananchi wa Kenya kupata huduma za matibabu. Hatufanyi haki kwa Wakenya wakati tunapo yaangalia masuala ambayo wauguzi na wahudumu wengine wa afya wanaibua na tunaendelea kuwanyamasia. Si haki kwa wahudumu wa afya, si haki kwa wauguzi, si haki kwa Wakenya. Kwa hivyo sisi kama uongozi wa wauguzi tunaambia our members ya kwamba tutaendelea na mgomo, kwa sababu masuala yale ambayo tulikuwa tumeyaibua katika ilani ambayo tulipeana hayajaweza kutimizwa. Yataweza kutimizwa wakati serikali watakubali ya kwamba huu mkataba ambao tulikubaliana tumeutia sahihi, yes. Na basi tutaweza kutoka hapo kuambia members wetu waweze kurudi kasini. Kwa hivyo kwa sasa mgomo uko siku ya 36 na utaendelea, kwa sababu sisi hatu kuenda katika mgomo kwa sababu tulitaka. Tulisukumwa na yale maswala ambayo ni nyeti, na kufikia sasa hakuna moja ambalo limeweza kutekelezwa. Iliali tumekubaliana, ndio tutakubali ya kwamba serikali iko tayari kuyatimiza kama watakuja katika meza na kutia sahihi ule mkataba. Kwa hivyo kwa sasa nitampatia naibu katibu mkuu aweza kusoma taarifa rasmi. Kwa hivyo nikimalizia ni kwamba mgomo utaendelea mpaka wakati ule tutakapo kusikizwa kama wahudumu wa afya, kwa sababu kwa sasa tumeachwa kama mayatima. Hakuna mtu ambaye anatujali, na kwa sababu imefikia hicho kiwango, basi sisi tunasema ya kwamba ni lazima tutaendelea kupigania haki ambayo tumepewa na katiba ya Kenya. Asanteni.
Okay.
Okay, good morning, members of the 4th Estate. I'm Morris Odhiambo Petru, the Deputy General Secretary, Kenya National Union of Nurses. Mine is to read the official statement of the union, to give the position of the union on the ongoing strike, which is on its 36th day And we want to state categorically that this union of nurses has done all its best to ensure that the issues that have been raised by the nurses through the strike notice are addressed and resolved. But it is unfortunate that even after fully engaging both levels of government in negotiating on the issues that were raised by the nurses through the multi-agency committee and concluded and drafted a return to work agreement, the government has not moved to sign that agreement so that we can go back to work. The union is aware that the two levels of the government have been engaging amongst themselves with other governmental agencies in order to sign the return to work agreement. It is unfortunate that we have learned that the meeting which was supposed to be held yesterday by the Council of Governors to pave way for the signing of the return to work agreement did not materialize. This is a clear indication that the nurses and other health workers have been totally exposed to an ending stalemate, while wananchi are suffering just because the Council of Governors have not agreed amongst themselves to pave way for the signing of the return to work agreement. In view of the above, we advise our members to stay put as we await for the signing of the return to work agreement and have permanent solution to our issues and the issues that are facing the health sector of this nation. So, in simpler terms, I want to say that the union negotiated with both levels of the government under the umbrella of multi-agency committee that was put in place by the same government so that we could find a solution to our issues. But to date, it is unfortunate that the side of the government, that is the Council of Government, has not committed themselves to signing the return to work agreement, which is ready and fully negotiated in their presence. Therefore, the citizens of this nation should know that the problems which are facing them, the sufferings which they are undergoing, are not because of the health workers, are not because of the nurses who are actually on legal industrial action, but it is because of the Council of Governors who have not agreed amongst themselves to come and sign the return to work agreement. We want to appreciate the commitment of the Minister for Health, that's yes Health, Bwana Mutai Kagwe, for engaging himself, for committing himself, for using all his time to ensure that we come to an agreement that has not been agreed upon by the Council of Governors for their own reasons, to come so that they can sign and we finalize the conclusion of resolutions to this strike. Therefore, our members should stay put until such a time that the government, especially the COG, will see it fit for them to come and sign the return to work agreement with us, because they were fully engaged, they were fully present, they were fully represented in the negotiations which were concluded. And the union committed itself to that negotiation and gave all it could so that we could agree, and the agreement was reached, which is on the table of the Labor Minister. Therefore, we call upon the citizens of this nation to demand for their rights from the governors whom they elected, so that they can see the sense and the suffering of wananchi, then they come and sign the return to work agreement. Failure to which, even if it is going to take 1 year and above before they come to sign, we shall not go back to work, because the issues we raised were genuine. The committees that we were given to negotiate it with also agreed with us. And that is how we drafted the return to work formula. So therefore, there is no reason for any other person, any other entity to come and disagree with that agreement at this level. We call upon the head of state of this nation to intervene with speed so that he can save the citizens of Kenya from the suffering that is being caused by some entities of the government who are refusing to sign the return to work agreement. Our members are fully on strike in all the branches, all the public facilities, and as we made it clear the other time, we are in consultations with the MTRH, that is my Teaching and Referral Hospital, and KNH, that the delayance that we are facing and seeing that is overwhelming them in those facilities will not be allowed to go further, and therefore they are going to make their pronouncements of when they are going to start also their strike, so that the government can see the seriousness of the issues which were raised by the health workers in public facilities. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, I have 2 questions.
Yes.
When was the last time that the nurses received their salaries? And what's the union's take on the suspended or fired nurses in Kisumu County?
I want to say that we have nurses who have not received their salaries for 16 months. One of those counties where this has been done is Vihiga County, which after failing to pay salaries to the contracted nurses for 18 months, they only paid for 2 months. And they only paid to a bunch of nurses, leaving around 39 of them out, even in that meager payment of only 2 months out of 18 months. In some counties, they have not paid the December salaries. In a county like Mombasa, they have not paid even November salaries. And this is what we are saying. The county government should take responsibility and pay the health workers the way they should be paid. 2, I want to make it very clear that the county governments have tried to go to the courts, labor courts, and get injunctions for our strike. But the courts had directed on the 15th of December that they engage the health workers, the nurses unions, under the umbrella of labor ministry and reach an agreement and file a progress report on the 28th of January. So the strike by the nurses, the clinical officers, has never been pronounced as illegal, and therefore the disciplinary action, the dismissals, the sackings that we are seeing in those counties are null and void. And our members should not be intimidated by them or should not be cowed by those intimidations through sacking, through dismissals, and other forms of intimidations. Therefore, what Kisumu County has done, what Kisii County has done, what Mombasa County has done are illegal and invalid by law, because our strike, as it stands to date, is protected strike. Thank you.
Yeah. Bwana SG, I just wanted to know, The Council of Governors is arguing that Treasury has not supported them in the demands, and therefore they are unable to implement that. And then there's also the issue you've just raised, the issue of involving Moi Teaching and Referral and Kenyatta. They are separate entities with separate...
Naam, bila shaka mtazamaji, hapo ni viongozi wa chama cha wauguzi ambacho ni KNUN wakizungumza kuhusiana na mgomo ambao unaendelea ukiwa kwenye siku ya 36, na wanasema kwamba wataendelea na mgomo huo hadi pale serikali itakaposikiza kilio chao na kutimiza matakwa yao, na hasa kutia sahihi yale makubaliano ama ukipenda CBA ili waweze kurudi kazini. Taarifa hiyo tunaipata baada ya mwendo wa saa 7 kwenye taarifa za KTN News Desk. Tukiangazia mengine ni kuwa kwa sasa naibu kiongozi wa chama cha ANC ambaye ni Ayub Savula anazungumza kuhusiana na uchaguzi wa mwaka 2022, na wakati ambapo ilikuwa inatarajiwa kwamba Musalia Mudavadi atakuwa kwenye kikao hicho. Naomba kwa sasa tuwasikizwe anasemaje.
Some of impeachment to protect Kenyans against violence implosion being clandestinely fomented by Ruto, a rich and powerful man in the government pretending to be poor. In the impeachment motion, we will make case that because his ambition is in competition with priorities set by the government he serves in, he is a danger to the stability of the nation by covertly descending and sabotaging the president's government agenda. He does through that incitement over the vulnerable poor, the so-called the hustlers. Ruto swore to serve the people of Kenya diligently by assisting the president to prosecute government agenda. But Ruto has diverted, nay, subverted his oath of office, loyalty to serve the president. Just this Sunday, Ruto has shamelessly, with bare knuckle, called a whole president a tribalist. How can you call your boss a tribalist when the president is symbol of national unity? He only made a remark that another tribe is ripe to lead the country. If the president is a tribalist, he dare ask, what be his deputy? Hermann Göring to Hitler? For the record, Hermann Göring was the primary architect of the Nazi police state in Germany, you know very well. He established the Gestapo secret police command and concentrated camps for corrective treatment of different opponents. Another second example, the German Third Reich state was fashioned as a racial purity. Ruto of all the people cannot run away from acts of tribalism, ethnicity, engineering, and purity. It is what feeds and sustains his politics. Ruto's support for the President Kenyatta is not because he believes in his leadership qualities. His support is because Uhuru is a Kikuyu and cannot help Ruto with Kikuyu's ethnic support. Absent that supports the fuel Ruto's sabotage schemes. In fact, Ruto disparages Uhuru, the person in the office as a president. You need no more evidence than Ruto's publicly ridiculing the president that Uhuru is misled into BBI, abandoning Jubilee development agenda. He says this without even betting an eyelid, knowing both BBI and the Big Four agenda are government projects he fully participated in formulating. On BBI, his instinctual propensity to lie has helped him cheat Kenyans for long that he didn't participate in formation of BBI. This was until when the president told the nation, you remember bombers of Kenya, to Ruto's face that Ruto indeed made appointment to the BBI task force. This is Ruto for you, a pathological liar. Ruto, the opportunists exploited the ethnic anxieties that existed between the Kikuyus and the Kalenjin community post-2007 election, ethnic violence, to book his space beside Uhuru. It is Ruto who told the world that their union was to bring peace between two warring communities, that is the Kikuyu and the Kalenjin. At this time, the two ethnic communities made sense to Ruto in his scheming. In 2021, however, according to Ruto, the two ethnic communities should be presumed extinct. He says the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu are extinct. Now is national ideology. Yes, because it suits him now. Ruto never dares of gloating that as recent as 2017, he brought ethnic communities together under the Jubilee Party. Should ethnic communities exist only because Ruto is still there? No. Ruto fakes being horrified by existence and recognition of ethnic communities and rise of ethnic nationalism that he has helped ferment only because such truth is inimical to his ambitions. We want to remind Ruto that communities can never be erased from the face of Kenya. Indeed, the Constitution, the Republic of Kenya, is made up of communities residing in geographical counties. Kakamega is Luya, Bungoma is Luya, Central is Kikuyu, Coast is Mijikenda, Kericho is Nandi. That is what the Constitution says, and that is the reality on the ground. That is the reality. That is why Ruto is gravitating his politics to be the prime mover of now not recognizing communities and disrespecting the president. The president didn't say anything new. The president only said that other tribes exist. He simply echoed discreet conversations among Kenyans. Deputy President cannot escape blame from the institutionalization of the Kenyan ethnic state. What else can account for this meteoric rise during President Daniel Arap Moi's government, who inflamed and exploited ethnic nationalism post-2002 election? Wasn't it Ruto that mobilized the Kalenjin community against the Kibaki government for ostensibly discriminating and sacking of Kalenjin public officers from the government en masse? Where was then the love for the Kikuyu community at that time, if he believes he loved the Kikuyu community? Who in 2010 reduced Kibaki's government environmental conservation of Mao Forest, something he repeated in 2018 against his own government, to the persecution of Kalenjin ethnic community residing in Narok? Who was inciting? It was Ruto. Did he not incite the Kalenjin ethnic resentment of the government and the Maasai community through 2020 to 2013, 2016 to 2018? Who was that? It was Ruto. When he whole of tribalists other than Ruto, wasn't URP marketed as a party of tribal communities? You know very well. That took lessons of ethnic mobilization from the defunct KADU. Wasn't ethnic grievances for perceived injustice the dogma of URP mobilization? Yes, what happened in the first Uhuru Ruto government? Pastoralist communities dogma was forgotten and replaced by narrow ethnicity jingoism. Ruto made sure that half of the cabinet and the public service lots were preserved for the Kalenjin community. Where the love for the Kikuyu now? While his consolidation of Ruto political hold on the Kalenjin, it created counter-ethnic.
Mtazamaji, hao ni baadhi ya viongozi katika chama cha ANC pale wakiongozwa na Bwana Ayub Savula, ambao wanazungumza kuhusiana na siasa za mwaka 2022 na sana akizungumza pale kumhusu naibu rais William Ruto, na kuni kwamba wanamtaka ajiondoe mamlakani, mtazamaji. Kwa hivyo kwa mengi zaidi Tulikuwa tunapata mwendo wa saa 7, naye Mark na masomo na habari ambaye anafuatizia taarifa hiyo. Kwa sasa naomba tupate mapumziko toke fupi. Muda si mrefu nitakuwa narudi na awamu ya pili ya taarifa zetu za leo mashinani. Usiondoke.
This is KTN News.
Go ahead is believing.